2. Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. In this lesson, we shall discuss how did the socialism sow its seeds in Europe and later how it reached to its extreme phase in Russia and different moments of Russian Revolution, starting from their withdrawal from the World War I, February Revolution, October Revolution, and finally Stalin turning to be a dictator of Russia. All these aspects will be discussed in this unit deliberately. Now, let us move on to the introduction. The age of social change. Why is this called as the age of social change? We have discussed in the previous chapter the French Revolution. So, the French Revolution has been a base idea for all these people. Actually, when we saw the French Revolution itself has the society divided into various subdivisions. We saw the society has been divided into the rich, the poor, and the middle class people. But this is about the modern society. When we talk about the French society, we have clergy, we have nobles, and we have the third estate people. So the divisions of the people were very rigid at that point of time. But after the revolt happened, the governments which came to power completely changed or banned the discriminations. The special privileges were being wiped off for the estate 1 and the second estate, and all were brought under the single bracket of citizens. Some are categorized into passive and the active citizens, but still there are no special privileges basing on birth. So, taking inspiration from the French Revolution, many European and the Asian countries started to think on the lines of change. So, the French Revolution gave a driving spirit for the Asian and the European countries to have change in the society. That is the reason why it is known as the age of social change. And in the countries like even in India, where we have diversified cultures, but still Raja Ram Mohan Rai started to debate about the French Revolution and the post-revolution changes which brought changes in the society, not only in India but also in Europe and in Asia. Many other countries also started to draw the inspiration from the French Revolution. Some of the people who really want change but varied in the speed of the change that has to come are liberals, radicals, and conservatives. Liberals had a different view when it is compared to the radicals. Radicals were completely different from the conservatives and the liberals. But these words mean different in different time periods of revolutions. In this chapter, we shall discuss about the meanings of these words further next, finding out what is the relevance of this in coming to the socialism context. At that point of time, what was the thought process of the liberals and what did the radicals want and what did the conservatives want. So ultimately it shows for us that everybody wants some change in the society. That is the reason why it is rightly known as the age of social change. Now let's find out the meaning of the word liberals. According to the context of the age of social change in the socialism in Europe, what does the liberals want in Europe on a larger scale? The liberals want religious tolerance. All religions should be given equal respect. The states should not favor any particular religion. Why did the liberals express this view? Because in Britain, the government supported the Church of England. In Austria and in Spain, they favored the Catholic Church. So these are the official religions of the states at that time. So they want to have tolerance towards all the other religions also. So the liberals express the view of religious tolerance should be the main concern at the first priority. That's what they want when they mention to be liberal. They want the government to be liberal when it comes to the religious context. The government should not favor any particular religion. What it is actually doing in Britain as well as in Austria and in Spain. So they don't want that kind of backing up from the government to a particular religion. The second, what did they want? They want the rights, the individual rights of the people to be protected against the atrocities, against the authority of the government. The government always used to pressurize the people to do certain things. So the liberals do not want any pressure which curbs the rights of the individuals. They want the individual freedom to sustain, and the government should give helping hand to protect them and not to curb them. Representatives and elected parliamentarians. The liberals also want the representatives who are elected by the people and represent the people in the parliament, who would understand the real intention of what is a parliamentarian is. They would bring in the needs of the people into the house of the parliament. They want the issues to be debated in the parliament which are concerned with the people. So they want a truly elected people, the people's representatives, to be taken place of chairs in the parliament. And they want the laws to be interpreted by a well-trained judiciary, a well-educated person who was trained very well, a well-versed person who has undergone a systematic training would interpret the laws in the judiciary and make the laws which are fit to the society. They do not want anyone who doesn't have any law background to take over that positions at that point of time. They do not want anyone who is very close to the king or very close to the ruling person or the family would take over that position, who may not have any knowledge or any background from the law. So, and they did not want right to vote for all. They are completely against the universal adult franchise. They do not want to expand the right to vote for women also. They want the right to vote to be restricted only to the rich people, only to the property owned people. They do not want the rights to the poor people. They do not want rights to the women. So these are the brief needs or the demands of the liberals. The liberals had clear perspective on what are their requirements or what are their goals towards the society. First one, they want religious tolerance from the government. Second one, the government should protect the individual rights against the government's authority. Third, they should have representative and the elected parliamentarians to represent the people truly in the parliament. And these people are not democrats. Do not get confused with the word representatives, as it is very closely associated with the word democracy. They are not democrats, and they want a well-trained judiciary to interpret the laws. And finally, they do not acknowledge universal adult franchise. They do not want women to be brought under the bracket of giving right to vote. They do not want the poor people to vote. They want only the rich people to vote. These are the brief views of liberals. Now, let us understand the views of radicals. These are the second major group in the process who want the social change. Liberals, radicals, and then conservatives. So we saw the views of liberals. Now let us look at the views of radicals. Radicals are completely different with views of liberals. Why are they different? Means they want a government in which majority of the people's opinion has been counted. So they want people to be as a major source of voting in the governments or bringing the government into power. The main focus should be from the people's point of view. So people should be given true adult franchise. They also supported women's suffrage movements in order to get right to vote for women, which means they are completely against the view of the liberals, where liberals did not want the women to vote and did not want the poor person to get the right to vote. They want only the rich people to vote. In the same point, again they also were in opposite view with the radicals. Like, radicals did not encourage any special privileges for the rich people or for the wealthy people. They did not want any special privileges in the society. And the third one, they also had a problem because they are not against the concept of private property, but they also expressed a view that if private property is in extreme phase, if everybody is encouraged to get more and more private property, automatically it would result in concentration of the wealth in very few hands, wherein the society has many people, but if the wealth is in only few hands, the society would not prosper. So that is the reason why radicals want all to get the voting rights, and the people should choose the government what they want, what changes they want. Everything they can do only by getting right to vote. And next, they did not encourage any special privileges, which the liberals want special privileges for a wealthy and rich people. And the third one, the concentration of the wealth in very few hands will definitely break the society into two halves, the haves and the have-nots. So they do not want this breakage. They want all of them to grow together. So the concentration of the wealth in very few hands will destroy the harmony of the society. That's why radicals express these kind of views. Now, the third group, the conservatives. The conservatives were completely dead against either the liberals or the radicals, but they were even against the concept of change. Later, they realized that the situation has come up that we need to change, and the change is inevitable. From the point of view, actually the word conservatives mean that they stick to the old regimes. They want all the old patterns to be continued even in the modern days. That's what the literal meaning of the word conservatives stand for. The same applies here also, where they do not want any changes. They want the past glory to be continued. They are dead against of any change. They are completely opposite in views with the liberals and the other group of radicals. But they also opened up their minds and made up their minds that yes, we need to change. The time has come where the change is inevitable. But they stick to the point that the past has to be respected and the change has to happen in a slow process. So now we have discussed about the three different views which are in the society at that time. Liberals want the religious tolerance, want the people's representatives, want the rights of the individuals to be safeguarded, and later they do not want universal adult franchise at all. Moving to the radicals. Radicals want complete right to votes to all of them. They want wealth to be shared equally. They are not against private property, but they are worried what about the society when the wealth gets confined at very few hands. Coming to the conservatives. Conservatives are against the concept of change, but they agreed that the time has come to change, which is inevitable. So they agreed and they understood the situation that we need to change, but the past has to be respected and the change has to happen in a slow process. These different ideologies or political strategies got clashed after the French Revolution, and in these clashes which resulted in the revolutions and nations transformation happened. This explained for us how the potential or the capability of the political tendencies shape the nations. We are able to know the limits of the political tendencies, which we will learn in this lesson further. Now, the industrial society. How was the society when the industries came up? industry was a new concept not only for the Indians but also for the European societies. So let's find out how did the society changed after the establishment of the industries. So industrial society and social change. Because of industries, how did the society got influenced and that brought changes in the society is a main theme of this part of the lesson. Now, the social and the economic changes were started to happen because of the changes which came in the society. When we talk about a word called change, change is nothing but something which is existing gets modified. That is called change. So, the society is changing. The economic standards of the people are changing. That's what the broader perspective when we mention about the social and the economic changes. And later, industries, why the society is changing? For what is it changing? Did anyone come and do any magic here to change the society? No. The developments which are happening in the society are bringing changes in the society. Someone or somewhere will not appear to do some changes in the society. The people, the technology or the advancements or any improvements in the society only will bring changes in the society on a very larger scale. So, the industrial setup, coming up of large number of industries has brought men, women and even children to work in these factories and industries. So, the industries and the factories brought the people to work. Women and children were working in a very rare and exceptional conditions. But here we have men, women and children coming equally and working. Railway network was brought into existence. Transportation developed. People from villages started to migrate to the nearby places where these industries are located, where the factories are located, so that they can find some job or some work for them. It would be appropriate to mention the word work rather than job, so that these people can do some work and earn some livelihood. That was the main intention which got fulfilled with the establishment of the railway connectivity. And later, the industrial revolution, the change of man-made goods to machine-made goods, the tendency got changed completely from the man-made goods to machine-made goods, where the production has increased, doubled, tripled and quadrupled. So, initially the production of a person for 30 days, let's assume there are 30 sarees which are being made. If a machine makes, it makes 30 sarees per day. So, on an account of 1 month average, a person can make 30 sarees where a machine can make 900 sarees. So, that variation, that plunging of the goods into the market brought changes in the society. So, the three major factors which brought changes in the society are industries, setting up of the industries and factories brought men, women and children to the workplaces from their homes. Railway network brought connectivity between the people from the rural areas to the urban areas or from the villages to the nearby towns. Industrial revolution, change of the machine-made goods, change of the man-made goods to the machine-made goods. The tendency itself has changed and flooding of the goods started to reach the market. It's not the own country market, it started to reach to the other countries also. And what are the other conditions in the society? The people were forced to work for long hours. They used to work 12 to 14 hours in a very severe conditions, and their wages were really very less, and the unemployment was very common in the society during that time. Low demand for the products which are made in the industries, because people are not aware, people are not rich enough to buy the products, people do not have work to do, they are completely unemployed. So why would they buy a product which they have to pay. They need some work to earn some money. So they are in a situation where there is completely unemployment. They used to work for long hours. So even though they are working for long hours, very few people will be able to get some work in the factories or in the industries. That's the reason why whomever they know in their family, they used to call them from the rural areas to work in the urban areas or the nearby towns to have some livelihood, because the crops, the condition of the climate was not in the favor of the agriculture. And also, as many people are moving on from the nearby villages to the towns, housing has become a serious problem. People do not have sufficient number of houses, and those who migrated from the nearby villages were not in a position to take a nice place for rent. So they used to adjust in small houses and small rooms, and which resulted in the sanitation problem. The maintenance of the sanitation could not be appropriately maintained, because many people are staying in a single room or a single storied building, where it automatically brings lapses in the sanitation of the town, and first in that area and later to all parts of the country. So housing has become a serious issue and sanitation very serious problem. So this is a brief view of how is the industrial society at that time. So in order to find out the solution for this, the liberals and radicals gave a thought process. What did they want? What are the changes they want? And how can they find a solution for all these problems? Let's find out. Now, the factories and the individual property. Almost all the factories are individual properties. Who were the owners of the factories or the industries? The liberals and the radicals were mostly the owners and the employers of the society at that time. So they always want their efforts to be appreciated, as they have traded overseas and got or acquired success and achieved lot of wealth. So they want that their efforts to be appreciated, so that many others also would take inspiration from them, and then the society can progress. So they want the entire society to progress. They do not want any restrictions. If a person is poor, allow him to do labor, allow him to get some work. If a person is able to maintain the capital, if he is rich, if he has the capital, give the chance for him to establish factories and rotate that capital through the process of establishing factories and earn some more extra income, so that people, those who are working, will get their daily wages. Those who are operating the factories would get more income, profit, and would establish more factories. More people would get the places to work in conditions. So they want the society to appreciate them. They want the society to be healthy, and they want more number of educated people in the society, so that their businesses could expand further wide. So they never discourage that kind of no jobs, or they never discourage any people. They want actually the existing governments should be overthrown. When people heard this kind of views, that give freedom for them to work, if they have money, give chance for them to establish factories, give a chance for the society to be healthy and make the citizens educated, many of the men and women in the early 19th century rallied towards the liberals and the radicals. So the liberals expressed a view that the existing governments, either through revolution or by some force, end the existing governments and put an end and a full stop to the monarchic forms of governments. That was the aim of radicals and the liberals at that point of time. So most of the factories are run as an individual properties. Radical leaders, liberal leaders were mostly the owners or the employers. They want their efforts to be appreciated. How did they earn huge profits? By doing hard work and encouraging trade. So they want the society, especially the people, to be healthy so that they can work. They want an educated section of people through whom they can earn more and more profits. They can have skilled manpower. That's what the intention they mentioned here. And they are dead against of any special privileges given on the basis of birth. They denied completely the old aristocratic methods of special privileges given to the noble or clergy in the French society. So they do not want any such kind of special privileges granted to them or to anybody else. And they want the poor to work, do labor and earn livelihood, rich to operate the factories, and this ultimately results in the development of the society on a larger point of view. And men and women who are impressed with the ideas of radicals and the liberals rallied towards them in the early 19th century. The liberals and the radicals expressed a view that the existing governments should be thrown out of power either through revolution or by some force. That was the major views and the intentions of the radicals and liberals. Now, moving on to understand what did the radicals do ultimately. The radicals and the liberals worked very hard in the countries of France, Italy, Germany and Russia, and finally they are able to succeed in overthrowing the existing monarchies at that time in 1815. So, the views of the radicals and the liberals were acknowledged by the people of that time, which resulted in overthrowing of the existing monarchies in many countries in Europe like France, Italy, Germany and also in the Far East in Russia. Now moving on to understand about the nationalists. Nationalists always talked about a nation. Nation means not the political boundaries or the land boundaries. Nation means a group of people associated with some common binding. That binding people are called as national people, and they are literally known as citizens who enjoy certain rights in that particular nation, equal rights. So nationalists always talked about a nation in which people are citizens and they have equal rights. And moving on to Italy, Giuseppe Mazzini always talked about nationalism, and he conspired with the other nations people also in order to establish nationalism in Italy. And the books which were written by him were read all across the world, and even in India we have people who read the readings, who read the writings of the people of Giuseppe Mazzini. So that's how we can understand the rebels, the liberals and the radicals were able to succeed very well in putting their views to make the people to understand, got the acknowledgement of the people, and completely they have overthrown the existing monarchies who are not at all fit to that changing society at that point of time. Socialism. Coming of socialism to Europe. How did the seeds of socialism were sown in Europe? What is socialism actually? Socialism, as expressed rightly by many writers, that socialism is a very far-reaching vision of how a society should be. That is socialism. When we have a vision, vision is something where you dream of after 20 years what you want to be. That is called a vision. So what you imagine that if it happens, that would be good. So a very far-reaching means it is very difficult to achieve that one. And that vision of what? Of the society is called socialism. In other words, socialism is a body of ideas. Socialism is a group of thoughts together. So what is actually the base for the socialism? The main base for socialism is for all the social inequalities in the society, for all the problems in the society. The main reason is private properties. Every individual owning huge properties is a basic problem of inequality in the society, disturbance in the society, disharmony in the society. This was the baseline of socialism. Socialism is a group of thoughts, in that the first major thought or the basic thought which raise for further other thoughts is that property is the main reason for all social ills, for all social unhappy things in the society. Main reason is properties. And they also expressed a doubt that when a factory is run, when people are employed in this, why only the properties are owned by an individual who owns the factories? Why not the properties are shared equally to the people who really increase the productivity and make that factory to become rich? Why is the factories not sharing the properties or profits with its employees? That's what the main underlying idea of the socialism is. And they also had a different view that instead of an individual earning a property, it would be better to suggest that society owns all the factories, society controls all the wealth, society takes care of all the individuals, society gives benefit of all profits equally to all its people. So on a larger scale, no individual property, let's have a large group society owning the property, running the administration and taking care of all its individuals. This is what the view that is expressed by many of the socialists, and socialists want this change in the society, which we already discussed that it's very far from reality, but still they want this change and they campaigned for this change. That's what a tremendous efforts were brought in to bring this ideology to the knowledge of the people and make the people to understand that this ideology is the best suitable ideology of the present situation to solve all the social ills which are in the society. Let us see who are some of the famous socialists. Let us now understand the views of the socialists. We get a fundamental question: how can a society be operated or organized without property? What would be the base of the society to operate? So these were certain questions which are coming into the brains. So now let's try to find out certain answers. Socialists also had different views in the ideology of socialism. One of the such view was cooperativism or cooperatives. Cooperate together and build together and grow together. So Robert Owen, who is an English manufacturer, brought the ideology of cooperativism. He wanted to have a cooperative community. He himself started an organization called Cooperative Community in the state of New Indiana in United States of America, where he expressed the view that we all will develop when a factory will develop and let us share equally the profits. That's what his idea when he meant that cooperative community. And many of the writers, artists or the historians or as well as the socialists contrary to this view, saying that this cannot be done on a very wide scale because all cannot be brought together on a large populated states. So it should be encouraged only on individual basis, and government should take the initiative to encourage this cooperative community culture in the nation. So this is one view of socialism. Let us find out what was the view of Louis Blanc in France. Now, Louis Blanc in France also expressed a similar view as that of Robert Owen. So he expressed that the government has to be replacing the existing capitalist because the capitalists own many of the factories which are individual based. So you want to have cooperatives, and these cooperatives will later share the profits. After acquiring the profits, they would share the partnership of the profit between the owner and the workers, basing on the number of workers who worked in order to enhance the profits of the particular factory. So Louis Blanc also expressed a similar view, same as that of Robert Owen's cooperative community. He also want to replace the existing capitalists and have a cooperative system where workers and the owners will share the profits basing on the work for the workers, basing on the investment for the owner. Now let's find out what were the views of Karl Marx, the father of Marxism in the Russian region. in the European region, who propagated Marxism by conducting international conferences. Let's find out now. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels were the two main philosophers who advocated the socialism with a new ideology. They added a new set of ideas to the existing socialism concept. So what are these? What made them to think on that lines? Let us first try to understand what did they understand about the society. Karl Marx understood the society in a different manner when compared to the others. He understood that the capital investment is done by the owners. He agreed for that the property, the machinery, the land, the building, the infrastructure, everything is the property of the owner. But the profits which the owner is acquiring in the factories or in the industries was the result of the hard work which was done by the workers. So he told that the workers are the main reason for the owner to achieve profits. So he want the workers to free themselves from the capitalist exploitation or this exploitation of work exploitation. He want them to find a way, a solution for this one. Then only the workers' conditions will improve. That's what the main message what Karl Marx gave to the society. The owner is the owner of factory, infrastructure, material, machinery which is there in the factory. He is not the owner of the people those are working there. He also mentioned that the profits which the owner is acquiring on the name of the factory is actually the hard work, the blood and the sweat of the people, those who are working in these factories. So they naturally deserve the rights of share in the profit. That's what he want to convey the message. And he always suggested the workers to improve their conditions, means you have to free yourself from the capitalist exploitation. And he also mentioned that what is the major reason for all the problems? The profits are getting accumulated in a personal suitcase or in a personal locker of the owner, where they are not distributed to the society. That is the reason why there is a lot of difference in the society between the rich and the poor. The rich is turning into multi-millionaire, while the poor is becoming worst and horrible. He also mentioned that workers must compulsorily free themselves from the existing exploitation, and he want the people to form a radically socialist society, a society in which there are different views. The existing view was completely to be wiped off and a new view has to take over the charge. What is that new view? The new view, what he want is a society which runs all the factories, which is a community based product. He want the community to react for all the problems of the community. He want the community to run all the factories. That's what is named later as communism. From socialism we move to communism. And he also mentioned that communism is nothing but when the workers triumph over the capitalists, which ultimately results in the future society. It is a natural phenomena which is going to happen in the future. So Karl Marx expressed his view very clearly and very straightforward. There should not be any owners. People should be the owners of the factories. The base for ownership is all people. Automatically all will get the share in the profits. So all will grow together. That's what he made it very clear. And he also mentioned that this is a natural society of the future, where all people will develop automatically, the entire nation will develop. And he wants all the workers to triumph in their struggle against the capitalists. Now, support for socialism. Till 1870s, the ideas could not get spread. But after 1870s, the ideas started to spread all around the Europe. And all people started to get thinking about how possibly we can achieve socialism. So, They also had international bodies to set up in order to propagate the ideology. First international, second international, like these meetings were conducted in order to spread the ideology of socialism, and the main member was Karl Marx. The third international was also conducted at Moscow, where all the different national people were called and they were asked to propagate the ideology of socialism all across Europe and Asia. And later, the workers in England and in France started to fight for better living conditions. The awareness towards the workers of their basic problems has increased, and now all the workers started to demand for funds for the distressed people. They want amount for the people, those who are physically disabled, those who have any problems, to solve their problems, and also they want reduction of working hours. The time they are working was 12 to 14 hours. They want the number of hours to be reduced, and there was a serious agitation on this one, and the people started to grow their support and raise their voices asking for the reduction of the work hours. And everybody want the right to vote. We want the right to vote irrespective of your economic situation, irrespective of your men or women. Everybody started to fight for equality on the principle of right to vote. And then as awareness increased in the people, till 1914, no party, especially the socialist background party, could not come into power. Though in Germany, the Social Democratic Party was established in 1905, in Britain, the Labour Party was established, and in France, the Socialist Party was also established. But till 1914, they could not get any prominent figures in the parliaments of Germany or in Britain or in France to form a government. Till that date, the radicals, the conservatives, and also the other liberal groups were ruling, and they were executing their ideas. So socialists have to wait till 1914 to form their governments. So this is the way how the socialism was started initially with a different ideology, which got added up with certain new ideas and got transformed, got into the reach of the people, and now finally in 1914 in some places of Europe it came into power. So that is how socialism crept into Europe. It came in as a slow poison and it spread all over Europe. We discussed what is socialism, and we also discussed that in most of the factories the conditions of the workers were problematic. The profits are going directly into the pockets of the owners. In contrary to the views of the socialist people, a very less developed country, a very less industrialized nation, Russia, yes, it's a very large kingdom, a large empire, but socialists have taken over the government in Russia. The fall of monarchy in February 1917 in Russia, and also the events which occurred in October, together known as the Russian Revolution. Now we generally get a fundamental doubt. When there are many workers who are working and struggling, there can be a possibility of revolution. But how is it possible in a country where there is no industries to very far off region, where the industries are very less in number? What was the condition of the society in Russia? What happened in Russia that paved the way for the socialists to take over the power there? So let's find out what was the political and the social conditions of the society during the period or in the Russia at that point of time, which gave a route map for the socialist people to grab the power from the existing government. They dethroned the monarchy, they changed the system of the government, and they established socialist government. So what happened actually? To find answers for these questions, let's find out the details. Let's enter into the history of Russia. Now let us find out what was the Russian Empire in 1914. As we discussed in the introduction, that Russia was being a place where first the socialists were able to capture power. So what are the conditions that led for the socialist to take over the power in Russia? Or what was the situation in the society which favored towards the socialists? In order to find out the answer for these kind of tricky questions, we will now get the details of Russia. Russia is ruled by Nicholas II. He was a Tsar. In Russian language, Tsar stands for king. So the king of Russia is Nicholas II in 1914. Today, whatever we see in Russia, the mainland of Russia was also been added with so many other countries during that time to be claimed as a very vast empire of that period. So Russia, along with the present day land, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia and some parts of Poland, Ukraine and Belarus, and also Armenia, Uzbekistan and some parts of Greece, together from the east of the Pacific coast towards the central part of Asia, were together known as the Russian Empire under the control of a single person, Nicholas Tsar II. So Tsar was very powerful literally, and he is controlling a very large piece of land. That we can understand from the number of countries when we say here. Now, what is the population comprising of in Russia? What was a major religion that was followed by them? Russians are basically Orthodox people. They follow Christianity, and in this Orthodox community, along with the Orthodox people, we also have Catholics, Buddhists, Muslims and also the Protestants, Catholics, Buddhists, Protestants and Muslims and the Russian Orthodox people along with the German Orthodox people was the total composition of the Russian population. So Russia, from here we can understand that it's a very vast empire. It is from east with the edge of the Pacific coast towards a very low deep in the Central Asia, having almost 10 countries together along with the Russian mainland, and it also consists of different religious people together and different ideological people also staying together. Now the fundamental question is, what was the economy of the society? How is the society divided? Is it divided similar to that of the French society or not? Let's find out now. The society of Russia. Let us now understand the economy and the society of Russia. Similar to the Indian lines, when it is compared, 85% of the basic Russians depend on agriculture. The main occupation or the livelihood for most of the people in Russia is agriculture. When it is compared to percentage of people depending on agriculture with respect to other countries in any of the European states, let's for example take France or Germany. In France we have only 40% of people depending on agriculture. When it comes to Germany, we have 50% of people, but the percentage of people in Russia depend on agriculture is really very high. It is 85%, which means almost completely they are depending on agriculture, which is the highest in any of the European states, which means this is a completely agricultural country. Now, what did they produce? They produced grains in order to meet the market requirements and also to accomplish their needs. So they always try to produce as per the requirement of the market and also to satisfy their own needs. And there are industries very few, except in very corner regions or in very well advanced cities. You don't find industries much here. So that would also be another major reason why so high percentage of people are depending on agriculture. So let us find out where the industries are located. Now, the St. Petersburg and Moscow were the two important spots where the actual industries are located in Russia. Moving on further, many industries have come up by 1890s. The railway network got extended wide across Russia, and the flowing of the foreign investments towards Russia also created a path for the establishment of many industries in Russia. At the same time, the industrial production also has gone up. The production of coal has become double the production of its basic level, and then the production of iron has become 3 times tripled, and then the production of steel, it became 4 times, that is, it got quadrupled. Means coal became double, steel became quadrupled. When it comes to iron, it became tripled. So the production also went very high. Initially, we used to have more number of craftsmen working in the factories and in the industries, but by 1900s, the number of workers became equal to the number of craftsmen working in the factories, and later most of the industries are private industries, except the industries are very large. The very large industries are run by government, and we also have government inspectors to check the hours of work of the employees who are working. The working hours were being restricted by the government laws, but the inspectors could not check or could not control the factories when they were making the workers to work for long hours. The average working span was 10 to 12 hours, and in sometimes it was up to 15 hours, and the accommodation is provided in the rooms in some areas. In some areas it was wide open, and it was given in the dormitories also. So the accommodation conditions were also not suitable or appropriate as per the requirement, and the working conditions, the workers are forced to work for long hours, though there was a check from the government official, but they could not control it, or they could not see the breaking up of the laws to the appropriate mark. The workers were divided basing on the skill, and when they moved from the villages to the towns and settled, these people were having trained, or they have been working for long years as metal workers. So these metals workers started to feel that they are the aristocratic family members in the workers community. They started to feel that they are above than all the other workers. What made them to feel so special when compared to the other workers? The answer for this is they need a skill, a special training to work with the metals. So that made a differentiation point between the regular workers and the metal workers. That is the reason why these people started to consider themselves as special people and or elevated people when compared to the other working people. And most of the working community consisted of women. Women accounted for 30%, and they used to get only half of the payment given to the men. And the differences in the workers can be clearly visible on their dressing style and also their associations. Some of the worker groups also formed certain associations and helped during the time of hardships, financial crisis, or any kind of strikes. Though all the workers are divided, are having different unions, when it comes to the strike, when it comes to stop of the work, all of them became united and stopped the work. And in this way, though the workers are divided, but they are united when it comes to the problems against the management. This brought the unity of the workers, and this was a frequent phenomena which happens regularly from 1896 to 97 in the industries and factories of Russia. It's not only in other factories but also in the metal factories from 1902. So it shows clearly that the workers even in Russia are also facing problems. The workers are also united against the management's policies. They, if necessary, stopped work to pressurize the management to agree to their demands. Now, the peasants used to work on the lands to cultivate the lands. These lands are owned by nobility, the crown, and the Orthodox Church, which is similar to the lines of the France. But the differentiating point between the Russians and the France society is the nobles are widely accepted in France, where the people fought for in the favor of the nobles against the government or the kingship. But here, the nobles did not have any local acceptance. They were just getting the lands which for their services towards the Tsar. So locally they are very unpopular and not liked by the peasants. So most of the times peasants hated the nobles. They want the lands of the nobles for them. They denied to pay any kind of taxes. Sometimes they went to an extreme level by murdering them also. These kind of incidents are quite common from 1902 to 1905, and later. The other significant feature of Russia is the Russian people, the Russian peasants actually pulled the land on a large scale, and the commune, the group of people of the society divides the land as per the individual's requirement. So they do not divide according to the strong taking more lands or the weak taking very less land. As per the requirement of the family or as per the requirement of a particular individual, how much land does he can cultivate, how much he requires. Basing on that, they used to divide the lands. That is a significant point or a different point when compared to the French society in Russia. So peasants used to work on the lands of the nobles, crown lands, and also the church lands. Nobles are the people who are widely accepted in France, but the nobility in Russia is actually the lands which are given to nobles are given by Tsar for his services. So they do not have any local acceptance in Russia. So these people hated the Tsars and also hated the nobles who are appointed by the Tsars or the lands given by the Tsar to the nobles. The people actually want this land under their names. They want to cultivate these lands and earn profits from this. Though they denied to pay taxes, they murdered the people, they never grabbed the lands as if and however they want. They all pooled the land together and later they redivided the lands according to the individual's requirements. That is a very special point from the Russian society. Now, socialism in Russia. To understand the socialism in Russia, we need to focus on what is the situation till 1914. Any political party cannot be established in Russia. All political parties are banned thoroughly in Russia. So the Russia has a complete dictatorial regime happening till 1914. All political parties are declared as illegal, and there was a continuous policing happening against the activities of the political parties. So any political party is illegal in Russia. Later, the Social Democratic Workers' Party was established in 1898, which was the main ideals of this party is to have a Marxist ideology in place. They want the workers to rule. They want the entire factories to be controlled by the workers. They do not want the capitalist system. They want the community to own the factories. Later, as we discussed earlier, the political parties are illegal in Russia. So they have to do all illegal works because their works are illegal as per the Russian laws. So they organized newspapers, they gathered people, they campaigned the messages illegally. They gathered the workers and created many strikes, which created a lot of awareness for the people. But parallel to this, we have one more party which got very well connected to the people in very short span of time. What was that party? That party was the Socialist Republican Party. This was established in 1900. Again, this is an illegal party. All political parties are illegal. So all parties come under the bracket of illegal parties. So this Socialist Revolutionary Party claimed that actually workers are not the main key force for Russian revolution. The peasants are the key people who took forward the Russian Revolution to a very larger scale. As I mentioned earlier, the peasants are working under the lands of nobles, under the lands of the crown, under the lands of the Orthodox Church. Their intention is that they should have their own lands. And do not misunderstand the peasants. They do not want to have thousands and thousands of acres of lands. They want lands as per their requirements. So they do not want a huge property like our modern day selfish leaders. They want lands as per their requirements of their family that can be fulfilling their family needs. So now the Socialist Republican Party, which came to get established in 1900, got very well connected to the peasants, claiming that all the nobles' lands have to be redistributed to the peasants. Peasants have to be given the noble lands, which was the intention of all the peasants. Party also claimed that we would do what you are dreaming of. So most of the peasants got very well connected, and in all the villages in the countryside, the Socialist Revolutionary Party got wide acceptance. But somehow the party is finding difficult because workers and peasants were not getting united at all. The society is having different views. What is a problem? We have two leaders emerging, Lenin and Kerensky. Lenin led the Bolshevik movement. The group of followers of Lenin are called Bolsheviks. The group of followers of Kerensky are known as Mensheviks. Lenin had an idea that the society is divided, where the capitalists are actually making the workers to work, but the peasants are different, they are working under someone's fields. So there is a wide gap of rich and the poor, and this is an impossible task to combine all these and make a socialist equal society where it is a far from reality. He learned it very well first, and he decided that the number of people who are entering into his party should also have the uniformity, and they should have the control on that number of the members. While different to this view, Mensheviks headed by Kerensky had the thought process that we should have open membership for the party so that it gets wide acceptance in the people, and which also has the support of the people in large number as in other countries like Germany and France. So these different views for the different political party leaders. Let us see what happened next.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.